Have you ever watched a spider weave its web, fascinated by its precision and tireless patience? Have you ever wondered what lies behind those 8 dark eyes that seem to peer out at the world from another dimension? And have you ever thought that behind the visits of a spider to your home, there could be a spiritual aspect, a secret message just waiting to be deciphered? Often considered repugnant creatures and harbingers of misfortune, spiders are actually silent masters of life, guardians of an ancient wisdom that has its roots in the mists of time. Their presence in our homes, far from being a casual or unfortunate event, can prove to be a precious opportunity to embark on a journey of self-discovery, to learn to look at the world with new eyes, and to grasp the hidden messages that the universe sends us. Prepare to enter a world of symbols and meanings, where fear gives way to wonder and repulsion turns into admiration. Listen to the story of the old monk Tetsu and his disciples, and discover the 7 spiritual teachings of the spider, 7 reasons why its presence in our homes is a sign of good omen, an invitation to grow and evolve. But before continuing, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to stay updated when we publish new content for your spiritual growth. Let yourself be guided by the wisdom of the spider and discover how its web, fragile yet resistant, can become a metaphor for life itself, a path of growth and transformation that leads us towards the realization of our true potential. The full moon, like an iridescent pearl set in the dark velvet of the night sky, flooded the ancient temple with silvery light, hidden among the ancient branches of cedars and maples. The shadows of the trees danced sinuously on the ground, like playful spirits summoned by the magic of the night. A delicate scent of lotus flowers rose from the nearby pond, mingling with the intense aroma of incense that slowly burned inside the temple, creating a mystical and suggestive atmosphere. On a rock smoothed by time sat the venerable monk Tetsu, his long white beard, like a silken cascade, falling on his chest, framing a face marked by the years, but illuminated by a deep and serene wisdom. His eyes, dark and penetrating like those of an eagle, shone with an inner light that seemed to capture the very essence of the moon. Around him, a group of pilgrims, come from every corner of Japan, sat in religious silence, enraptured by his words. There was Hana, a young woman with large, curious eyes, whose gaze revealed a soul thirsty for knowledge. Her lavender silk kimono, embroidered with delicate cherry blossoms, fluttered gently with each breath she took, like a butterfly landing on a flower. Beside her sat Taro, a sturdy, taciturn man with the calloused, gnarled hands of a farmer, accustomed to the toil of the fields. His face, marked by the sun and the wind, expressed an unshakable strength of spirit, forged by years of hard work. And then there was Kenji, an elderly samurai with a face furrowed by wrinkles as deep as the beds of a dry river, evidence of a life spent between battles and meditation. His eyes, though marked by time, still retained a gleam of pride and determination. Tonight, my dear disciples, Tetsu began in a calm and melodious voice that seemed to glide through the air like a light breeze. I will reveal to you the secrets of a creature often despised and misunderstood, the spider. Many consider it a repugnant being, a bringer of misfortune, but in truth, it hides profound spiritual meanings, especially when it decides to enter our homes. A shiver ran down Hannah's spine, and she pulled her kimono tighter around her, trying to hide her uneasiness. "Master," she said in a trembling voice, as if she were a child frightened by a shadow in the night, "I can't suppress a sense of fear when I see a spider. Its shape, its eight eyes that seem to peer into the darkness, its rapid and silent movements, they disturb me deeply." Tetsu smiled softly, his eyes narrowing slightly like those of an ancient sage who has contemplated the infinite. "I understand your fear, Hana," he said in a reassuring voice, like the murmur of a mountain stream. "It is a fear that comes from the unknown, from a lack of understanding. But know that the spider, just like every other creature that populates this world, is part of the great design of the universe. And if we learn to look at it with new eyes, with an open heart and free from prejudice, we will discover that it has much to teach us." The monk looked up at a spider web that was glistening in the moonlight, suspended between two branches of a Scots pine. It was a perfect web, a masterpiece of geometry and engineering, its thin, strong threads catching the moonlight like silver threads woven by fairies of the night. "See," he said in an admiring voice, "with what patience and skill the spider weaves its web. Each thread is placed with millimeter precision. Each knot is a small masterpiece of architecture. The spider is a master builder, an architect who shapes reality with his art, a weaver who creates his home with threads of silk and perseverance." "But master," Taro intervened with his hoarse country voice, accustomed to speaking with animals and the earth, "isn't the spider perhaps a symbol of deception and predation? Its web is a deadly trap for insects, a place of death and suffering." "It is true, Taro," Tetsu replied in a tone that invited reflection. "The spider is a predator, but it does not act with cruelty. It is the law of nature, the cycle of life and death that governs all creatures, and in this too we can find a lesson. Like the spider, we too must face the challenges of life with cunning and determination, with the strength and courage necessary to overcome obstacles, but without ever forgetting compassion and respect for all living beings, even the smallest and seemingly insignificant ones." Tetsu bent down and gently picked up a small spider that was crawling among the dry leaves at his feet. He held it in the palm of his hand, showing it to the pilgrims. It was a small, defenseless spider, its body black and shiny like an onyx gem, and its thin legs that moved slowly, exploring this new territory with caution. "This little being," he said in an affectionate voice, as if he were talking to a child, "teaches us 7 important spiritual lessons, 7 reasons why its presence in our homes is a sign of good omen, a message of hope and wisdom." Creativity. As we have seen, the spider is a master weaver, an artist who creates his home with incredible skill. His web, with its complex and harmonious structure, is a symbol of creativity, of the ability to give shape to one's dreams and to build one's destiny. When a spider enters your home, it is reminding you that you too have the power to create your own reality, to weave your life with the threads of your thoughts and actions. Just as the spider carefully chooses the place where to build its web, considering the position of the sun, the direction of the wind, and the presence of prey, so too must you choose wisely your goals and aspirations, taking into account your abilities, your values, and your passions. Patience. Watch how patiently the spider weaves its web, thread after thread, never giving up, even when the wind or rain destroys its work. It begins again with the same tenacity, with the same confidence in its ability to create. The spider teaches us that patience is a fundamental virtue for achieving our goals. It reminds us that even the most ambitious projects can be achieved if we proceed with perseverance and determination, without being discouraged by the obstacles and difficulties that we will inevitably encounter on our path. Just as the spider patiently repairs its damaged web, so too must we learn to face adversity with serenity, knowing that every difficulty is an opportunity to grow and become stronger. Perseverance. The spider never gives up. Despite the difficulties, it continues to weave its web with tireless dedication. Think of how many times its web is destroyed by a storm, by an animal, or by man, how many dangers it has to face to get food, and yet it does not lose heart. This is a valuable lesson for all of us. In life, we will inevitably encounter moments of difficulty, moments when we feel like we can't do it, when suffering and disappointment will throw us into despair, but we must never lose hope. Like the spider, we must get up every time we fall and continue to fight for our dreams with the strength and determination of those who know that in the end, perseverance will be rewarded. The spider teaches us that life is a continuous challenge, but that with courage and tenacity, we can overcome any obstacle and reach the desired goal. Detachment. The spider moves on its web with lightness and agility, without being a prisoner of it. It knows that at any moment its work can be destroyed, yet it does not worry about it. It does not cling to its web. It does not consider it a precious asset to be defended at all costs. This teaches us the importance of detachment, of the ability to not cling to material things, to negative emotions, to unfulfilled desires, to toxic relationships. Only by freeing ourselves from these burdens, from these attachments that prevent us from flying, will we be able to achieve true inner freedom, peace of mind. Just as the spider abandons its web when it is time to create a new one, so too must we learn to let go of what no longer serves us, what prevents us from growing and evolving. Interconnection. The spider's web, with its intricate and delicate structure, is a symbol of interconnection. Each thread is connected to the others, creating a complex and harmonious network where each part is essential to the whole. The spider reminds us that we too are part of a great universal fabric, that our actions have repercussions on others, and that we are all connected by an invisible thread. Our every action, our every word, our every thought can influence the lives of others, for better or for worse. We must be aware of this interconnection and act with responsibility and compassion, remembering that every living being is part of one great family. Balance. The spider, to weave its web, must find the right balance between strength and delicacy. It must stretch the threads with the right tension so that they are resistant but at the same time flexible, capable of resisting the wind and the weight of its prey. This teaches us the importance of finding balance in our lives, between action and contemplation, between strength and kindness, between reason and intuition, between work and rest. We must be neither too rigid nor too yielding, but find the right measure in everything, the middle way that leads us to serenity and inner harmony. Just as the spider finds the perfect balance to create its web, so too must we learn to balance the different forces that act inside and outside of us to live a full and fulfilling life. Trust. The spider, when it weaves its web, relies completely on its instinct and its ability. It does not need maps or plans. It lets itself be guided by its inner wisdom, by its innate knowledge. This teaches us to trust ourselves, our abilities, the flow of life. It reminds us that within us we have all the resources necessary to realize our dreams, to overcome the challenges that life poses us. We just have to learn to listen to our inner voice, to follow our intuition, to trust our potential. Just as the spider relies on its instinct to create its web, so too we must learn to trust our inner wisdom to create our life. Tetsu concluded his speech with a story. He told of an old samurai, a brave and feared warrior, who after a life spent fighting, decided to retire to a mountain monastery immersed in a bamboo forest to devote himself to meditation and the search for inner peace. One day, while he was immersed in contemplation, sitting on the porch of his small hermitage, he saw a spider trying to weave its web between two bamboo branches right in front of him. The wind, however, was strong and continued to destroy the spider's work, tearing it to pieces like a fragile leaf at the mercy of the storm. The samurai, impatient by nature, was about to intervene to help him, perhaps by moving the bamboo branches or repairing the web with his expert hands, but then he stopped, held back by an invisible force. He watched the spider, who, with incredible tenacity, began to weave his web again each time without ever giving up, without ever showing signs of discouragement. The spider went up, down, weaved with his precise and tireless movements, heedless of the wind that blew impetuously and coldly. After hours of trying, finally, at sunset, when the wind died down and the evening shadows lengthened over the forest, the spider managed to complete his work. The web, resistant and perfect, shone in the sunset light like a precious jewel, a symbol of tenacity and perseverance. The samurai, deeply touched by that demonstration of perseverance, understood that tenacity and self-confidence are the keys to overcoming any obstacle, to achieving any goal. He understood that true strength does not lie in physical power or skill with the sword, but in the ability to resist adversity, to get up after every fall, to never lose hope. From that day on, the samurai dedicated his life not only to meditation, but also to the observation of nature, learning precious lessons of wisdom from animals and plants. Dear disciples, said Tetsu with a smile that lit up his wrinkled face, like a ray of sunshine piercing the clouds, when a spider enters your home, do not chase it away. Do not be afraid. Do not consider it an enemy. Welcome it as a master, a messenger of wisdom, a silent friend who has much to teach you. Observe it carefully, learn from its teachings, let it guide you on your spiritual path. Let it show you the way of patience, of perseverance, of self-confidence. The spider is a small being, apparently insignificant, yet it contains within itself the wisdom of the universe, the secrets of life and happiness. The pilgrims, enlightened by the master's words, remained silent for a long time, contemplating the spider web that shone in the moonlight, imagining the little spider that wove its web with patience and dedication. From that day on, they would look at spiders with different eyes, recognizing in them precious allies in their path of inner growth, silent masters who would guide them towards wisdom and serenity. Hannah, who at first feared spiders, now observed them with curiosity and respect, trying to grasp their teachings and apply their wisdom in her daily life. Taro, the rough and practical man, learned to appreciate the patience and perseverance of the spider, applying these virtues to his work in the fields, facing the challenges of nature with renewed confidence and determination. Kenji, the old samurai, found in the story of the spider and the wind the strength to face the last battles of his life, those against old age and illness, with courage and serenity. And so the night deepened, the stars shone brighter, like diamonds scattered across the dark blanket of the sky, and silence enveloped the temple and its inhabitants, immersed in a deep and lasting peace. The story of the spider and its teachings spread throughout Japan, carried by the wind like a precious seed, and reached the ears of farmers and warriors, monks and merchants, men and women of every age and social condition. And wherever it went, it brought with it a message of hope and wisdom, an invitation to look at the world with new eyes, to discover the beauty and perfection in every creature, even the smallest and seemingly insignificant.